Okay, so now we're going to get into the mobile menu. So we have basically two kind of things we need to focus on. One is building the hamburger menu, which are the 3 lines. And we're going to, obviously we need some custom CSS for that. We're going to have a little animation where it turns into an X. And then we have the actual menu to show. All right, so we're going to be doing some custom CSS and a little bit of JavaScript just to add and remove classes. So if you don't know JavaScript, don't worry about it. It's not a lot and it's not hard to understand. And this menu or something just like it we'll be using in future projects as well. So let's come down here. We already have where we want to put this stuff. I did a to-do earlier. So let's start with just the hamburger button. So right here, let's actually remove the to-do here. Okay, so for the hamburger button, we're going to have a class. Now, we don't want this to show on medium screen, so let's say MD:hidden. Okay, that's the first thing. Then we want our button, and we're going to add some classes on this. I always want it to be on top, so we're going to do Z40. If you remember back in the sandbox videos, we talked about the Z-index classes. So this will make sure it's on top. We're going to display it as block, and we're going to give it a class of hamburger because that's the hamburger, because that's the class we're going to use to add all our custom CSS. And this, of course, also MD hidden, because we only wanted to show on small screens. And I'm also going to add onto this on focus. Then I want I don't want any outline, so we'll set that to outline none. All right, and let's see what else we want to add on to this. Let's give it an ID as well, just for the JavaScript stuff. So we'll set ID to, let's say, menu-btn. And let's also we'll just give it a type of button. And I think that should do it. Now, inside the button, we're going to have 3 lines, and they're going to be created with CSS. So we're going to have some span tags here. And let's say hamburger-top. Nothing's going to go inside of it. We just want the classes. So hamburger top, hamburger middle, and bottom. All right, now if I save that, we're not going to see anything just yet because there's no content in here. There's nothing to show. But we're going to add that with CSS. Now you could make it easier and just have like an SVG of 3 lines, but you won't be able to do the effect where you click it. If I go over to this version, if we click it, you see how it turns into an X? I like that effect. So, I mean, it takes a little bit more work, but once you have it, you can use it on as many projects as you want. So the mobile menu is going to go down here, but I figured we could just do the button first. So let's go into the input CSS, and we'll put this, let's just go to the very bottom here, and we'll say this is going to be the hamburger menu. All right, so we have a class of hamburger. So let's set the cursor. We're going to set that to position pointer, and we're going to set the width to, let's say, 24 pixels. Also the height, set that to 24 as well. And let's do a transition. We're going to set transition to all, and 0.25 seconds for that duration. And then the position, I'm going to set that to relative because the spans inside of it are going to be positioned absolute. So now let's position all of them together. So we'll say for our hamburger dash top. So we have, remember, we have top, we have middle. These are the spans inside, and then bottom. So to begin with, we're just going to style them all in the same place, put them all in the same spot. So it'll actually look like one line. So of course we want to position this as absolute, and then we're going to set the width. Width is going to be the same as the hamburger class, which is 24, and then the height, we're going to set that to just 2 pixels. So each line will be 2 pixels. We're going to set it from the top 0, left 0 position. Background is going to be white, and we want to set transform and set rotate So to begin with, rotate is going to be set to 0. Okay. And we're going to add transition here. We want to transition all transitionable properties with a 0.5 second duration. All right, so now if we take a look, you can see that we have a single line. Give me 1 second, guys. Just want to take these headphones off. All right, so we have, it looks like a single line, but it's actually 3. They're just in the same spot, so we can't see 3. So now let's take the middle one, because this is for all of them, but let's just take the middle one, and let's change the positioning to that, and we'll use transform to do that. So we'll say transform. We want to translate on the y-axis, meaning we want to move it along the y-axis, and we're going to move it down 7 pixels. If you want to move it up, that would be a negative. But we're going to move it down 7 pixels, and now you can see we have 2 lines. Now let's take the bottom. So let's say hamburger dash bottom, and let's push it down 7 more. So we'll do 14. So now we should have 3 lines. So the top is this one, the middle one we push down 7 pixels, and the third or the bottom one we push down 14. So there should be even spacing in between all of them. Now to get it to look like an X, what will happen is if we put a class of open onto that, then we want it shaped like an X. All right, if we have the open class, which is going to be on the hamburger, so on this right here. So I'm going to manually just add it right now. So in the class, I'm going to put open here, and then we're going to style for that. So let's come down here. Let's say dot open, and let's actually bring this up a little bit. So we're going to start off with transform, and we want to rotate it 90 degrees to begin with. So let's say rotate 90 DEG. And as soon as I do that, you'll see the entire thing is now rotated 90 degrees. So now let's target the, when it's open, we want to target the hamburger dash top class, okay, which is the top line. And on that, we're going to add a transform and say rotate, let's do 45 degrees. And then I'm going to add some other transforms as well because I want to move it along the X and Y axis. So let's say translate, we'll do translate Y 6 pixels, and translate X, we're going to do also 6 pixels. All right. So if I save that, now you can see that that hamburger top is now at a diagonal angle. And whenever you do stuff like this, you're going to mess around with different values to try and get it right. So I just want to mention that. It's never as easy as just typing it in and knowing exactly what to do unless you've already used it before. Like once you create this menu, you can use this wherever you want, and you just pop these values in. But to figure it out for the first time usually takes a little bit. So now let's grab the hamburger, we'll say hamburger middle, and let's say display none, okay? Because obviously an X is only 2 lines, but we start with 3, so we're just going to completely get rid of that one, the middle one. And then I'm going to copy this, and let's change this to the bottom, and this time we want to do a rotate of negative 45 degrees, and also on the X translate, that's going to be -6. So I'll save that, and now you can see we have basically a perfect X. And that's only if the open class is on. If I remove that open class, then it goes back to normal. So where the JavaScript comes in is we want a click event. When we click on it, then we want it to turn into an X. So then we want it to have an open class. All right, but we're not going to do the JavaScript just yet. What we'll do is in the next video, we'll work on the actual menu, and then we'll work on the JavaScript.